Today I am joined by a talented filmmaker, producer. She's produced the podcast Supreme, The Battle for Roe, HBO's An Intimate Evening with Adam Pally, and directed the short film The After School Club. Please welcome Tamara Black. Thanks for speaking with me today. You've been on some incredible projects, I have to say. Like, this must be a blast to work on these kinds of things.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I feel pretty lucky to always work on stuff that keeps me on my toes and challenges me in different ways, and with some incredible teams as well.
One of the things that I see a lot of people who work in film, a lot of people who, I produce podcasts, so all very different creatures. Is there anything that you find helpful working across these different types of projects, these different types of mediums? Like, is there something that you carry from project to project that really lets you help it shine when you're working on it?
I would say creative problem solving is probably one of the biggest things that comes into play. No matter what the format is, there's always going to be obstacles, and some of them are very particular depending on what the project is. So I would say just keeping an open mind and looking for solutions where you maybe wouldn't expect them sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's saying,
I don't know if you heard my cat. I'm so sorry.
I'm okay. I got one I had to lock outside because he was walking back and forth across the keyboard. I'm like, I can't deal with it. No. Now, you produced Supreme, The Battle for Roe, an audio drama that tackles one of the most important legal cases, period, in a time when rights are under attack in a way that, honestly, they haven't been in a generation. How did you feel going into this project?
We recorded it a few years ago now, so things weren't quite as contentious at the time. But I remember just feeling really lucky to have experienced that story firsthand. And Maya Hawke, who plays the lead in the show, was incredible. And just seeing it come to life, even in an audio sense, was really amazing. But yeah, I didn't even know some of the intricacies of that story. Like, I didn't realize how young Sarah was when she argued that case to the Supreme Court. And like, I can't imagine how nerve-wracking that would have been. And then also they go into the judge's backstory as well, which I found really interesting. And he has 3 daughters, and they all kind of play into why he made the decision that he did. And I think now a lot of people should go back and listen to that if they don't know the story, because especially in a time, like you said, where rights are being taken away from people. I think that context of how that even came to be is really important.
Yeah. And it's an audio drama. Do you feel like, which is something I find really wonderful that podcasts have allowed us to explore? Because in the UK, for example, there's Big Finish and all these audio drama producers. The BBC still does it. Do you feel like this podcasting space is just opening up North America to the concept of an audio drama more than it had been maybe in the last decade?
I would say so, but I feel like the need for it kind of fluctuates. Like, there is, I feel, more of a draw for interview content, like what we're doing now. Like, I feel like people just like that real world interaction, and it's almost like a comforting thing. And there is still a big space for like visual dramas, obviously. And yeah, I do just find it very interesting though, because I love like a true crime podcast as well. And like, it's something that you can listen to when you're commuting on your way to work. Like, the accessibility of it is different. And yeah, I feel like I hope both art forms stay around, just because I think they're both compelling in different ways.
Yeah. Now, you also helped, or you were one of the producers on An Intimate Evening with Adam Pally, that for HBO. That, I watch a lot of comedy specials, and it falls into such a unique space because it's, on one hand, the comedy special format, but is mixed with a concert festival or a concert film and like this intimate confessional behind the scenes kind of element there. How did you make that all gel into a cohesive story?
Well, that's really the genius of Brent Hodge, who's the director, and I've collaborated with him a lot on different projects. And he's just so story minded and really good at drawing out the human element of certain situations. And he's also a documentary filmmaker, which helps a lot. But yeah, I think going into it, there wasn't a concrete idea of how it would take shape. It was kind of just like letting the story speak for itself and seeing what format came from that. But I also think in every space, the meaning of genre is kind of expanding. Like what we can do is whatever we put on the page. And before there used to be harder lines, before the technology and the VFX capabilities and everything, like there used to be harder lines for what you could do in cinema. But I think now you can kind of do whatever you can imagine, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I kind of feel, and you can correct me if you feel I'm wrong or
Yeah.
let me know what you think, like the ubiquitousness of platforms to stream on, like YouTube and Crave and HBO and Netflix and Prime and all of it is created an ability for us to experiment more because people are more, you have more places that you can share stuff. So if you don't want to work in this one genre or one format, you can try it and put it out somewhere else. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I kind of like that. That's a very optimistic way of looking at kind of what has happened to our industry. And for better or worse, like this is what we're dealing with now. So we might as well lean into the positives in my mind. And even with, yeah, like something like a short film, I feel like there's more places for that to go now, which is really exciting because at the end of the day, like if you make something and no one sees it, not that you're making it for people to see it, but at the same time, you kind of are. Like it has to be equally art and commerce to move forward. So yeah, I think whatever gets more eyeballs on your content, that's really exciting.
Yeah. Now, speaking of short films, the After School Club is like a fun sort of gritty psychodrama kind of story with explores gender and sexuality and mental health and addiction in this private school setting. So, what were some of your when you're stepping in to direct that? What were some of your inspirations, or what are some of the things that you sort of looked to when working in that role?
Ooh, that was a fun thing to figure out. And Alex, who's the writer and lead cast, we played around with a lot of different references. But I think ultimately, and you can tell me if you agree that this kind of came out in the final version, but it's a little bit of Election, a little bit of Heathers, a little bit of
I
Cruel
literally wrote that. I literally wrote Heathers and Election.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's literally on our deck. So, and then The Politician. I don't know if you've seen that Netflix show with Ben Platt. My sister suggested that I watch it when she read the script, and I'm really glad she did because it's hilarious and ridiculous and kind of in that same like satire bucket.
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't seen it yet, but I've added to my weekend watch. Now, there's a really sort of clear visual palette with a lot of rich colors in the costumes and it's like burgundies, dark woods, ornate wallpaper. What inspired you to sort of work in that visual palette to use that kind of sort of, I'd say, very, very luxurious in a way, almost kind of set dressing and costuming?
Yeah, so this process was pretty serendipitous, which was nice because all usually it's really rushed and haphazard, but I actually had proper prep with our wonderful DOP, Belen Garcia. If you're not familiar, you should definitely check out her work. She's incredible. But I think the main word we were using was painterly when we were going through the storyboard and figuring out how to shoot this. And we did really want jewel tones, but when we were brainstorming, also with Jason Pillay, our wonderful wardrobe designer, he knocked it out of the park. But I kind of went to him and was like, I know that we probably can't afford school uniforms, but is there a world where we kind of make it a little fancy in whatever way we can? And Jason's like, no, we're doing school uniforms. We're gonna find a way. And wow, he like uniforms on a micro budget are extremely difficult, and he killed it. And then just to, I love shouting out the team because they ultimately like brought this all together. But Isabel Baker Smith, who's our production designer, you should also check out her work. But she kind of just knew what I was going for without me telling her. Like we came to our first meeting and she was like, I think we should do this, this, and this. And I was like, you just read my mind. And we also got an amazing location. So that kind of helped. We shot at University Women's Club, which is beautiful. We have weddings there.
Excellent. Now, one of the elements that I found really interesting about the short film was it lays out privilege and how that's leveraged to manipulate others to benefit those privileged individuals, especially when dealing with groups that are othered, like furries or like it's as called out in that one scene. Now, the film itself is very grounded in these representations of the communities. How do you tackle engaging stories that represent voices that might be from othered groups in film?
Yeah, I think for this, we wanted to do it in a way that felt authentic and not kind of shoehorned into the story. And that is in large part because of Alex's writing and how they were able to kind of convey these bigger themes, but in a smaller format and also a smaller world. Like setting it in high school kind of lets you take some shortcuts in a way because everyone is expecting something that's confusing and dramatic when you're watching a high school drama. So you can kind of, I don't know, put the sugar or put the medicine in the sugar or whatever that saying is, and get across some bigger themes with that format. And yeah, I think Shia in the film who plays Humphrey, they did a lot of improv on the day, which was funny. Like that whole bit about communism, that wasn't in the script. So that was hilarious. We were all trying to stifle our laughter. But yeah, I think it's also people's, or I guess our characters' relationships to success and how they are kind of grappling with like, oh, who am I on paper, like going to apply for these prestigious institutions after high school, and like who am I as a person? And I don't think any of them know who they are as a person.
Now the entire cast were really wonderful, but Gabrielle Kuroshima really stood out as someone who, like within a role playing both sides. Were there anything when you were directing her? Was there anything that you sort of gave to her, or you talked about to help her bring that out? Because she just blew me away in that role.
Yeah, Gabrielle is incredible, and we work together quite a bit. So I think it's one of those things where we don't have to do as much pre-prep or discussion because we kind of know each other's sensibilities at this point. And we kind of wrote Quinn for her. Like we were like, we want Gabs to play a likable villain. Like she's very human in a lot of ways, and like her need for control is something that I feel like a lot of people relate to because she can't really control all the aspects of her life. But yeah, I think my favorite scene with Gabs is the party one where she kind of runs out and goes on this anger fueled rant. But yeah, there's kind of already a trust there, I guess would be the answer to your question. But we kind of just like before filming would ground ourselves in each scene and be like, okay, at this point, what does she needing or what is she feeling, and how can we play around with that more instead of just doing what the script says.
Yeah. Well, it's very much a case of the sympathetic villain, like you said, because like there's an understandable aspect to what she's trying to do, and you know, yes, she's the bad guy, as it were, but she's not evil. But yeah, I just loved her what she brought to that. Now you're also working on original series Pilled. What can you tell folks about that?
Ooh, that one, it's taken many shapes. And I'm kind of still in development and looking for grants and all that fun stuff. But it's kind of unpacking incel ideology through the lens of a woman who's grieving the disappearance of her brother, who fell into that, I guess, online radicalization. And she's kind of not becoming, a lot of people say she's becoming a reverse incel, but she just becomes so obsessed with the subject matter and finding him that a lot of, I guess, um, moral underpinnings kind of reveal themselves. And I guess in a hopes to understand and not sympathize with that culture, but just like understand why and like kind of get to the bottom of like seeing each other as humans instead of just being hateful towards one another.
I'm looking forward to seeing that when it comes to light, because it's such a interesting, and you know, how to say that, it's an interesting subject to discuss. Okay, last question for you, and I to ask this of everybody. Aside from Pilled, is there one dream project that you have that you would love, like a world that you'd love to work in, or a story that you'd love to tell?
Ooh, I think right now my sights are set on directing episodic TV. I really badly would like to do that. And that is kind of why I got into the industry. But I love a drama, I love a crime thriller. So, really, anything in that world, I would be over the moon to tackle.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks very much. If anybody wanted to find out about your projects or see more of your work, where can they go?
Yeah, you can just go to my website, which is tamarajblack.com, and then my Instagram as well. It's kind of my social presence.
Great. Well, thanks very much for chatting today.
Thank you.